Right, this is, I'm not sure if anyone is in here yet. Oh, 2, 3 coming in. It's still a little bit early. This is, we've got a few more minutes to go before we are live. I should have started exactly on time, but for some bizarre reason, I started 5 minutes early. So for those that are here, this is this is the first time I've given a webinar, so it should be quite interesting. But we got 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go. And yeah, for those that are on here, can you on the chat on the right, can you say something on the right to see if that's working? I've done a few tests on a few of these dummy tests with the webinars, and seem to be all working fine, but be interesting to see. So if anyone's listening to me right now, can you say something in the chat section? So on the right hand side, you'll see chat room, polls, all that kind of stuff, or just chat. Can you say anything? So we've got 2 minutes to go till the start. Aha, hello. Okay, a couple of people have said hello and hi, so I can see there in my other section. So can you just see me at the moment? Can you just see me with my webcam? I presume you can't see anything else. Just moi, my head. Is that correct? You won't be able to see my screen yet, I don't think. But if you can hear me and see my face, just let me know. Say yes, I can see you. Okay, great. Thanks for that. Lovely. So things are working reasonably well so far. So yeah, we've got 2 minutes to go till we start. So we'll just wait for hopefully some more people. There should be about 22 people. 22 people have signed up. So we'll see how many show up. There might be a few coming in late, but I'll start at 7. So we've got another minute to go. Where we got 4 people on board now, so probably be a few late arrivals. So yeah, all working okay. At least the chat's working. Right, pretty close. Okay, it's 7 o'clock now, my time. So we'll probably get some people arrive a little bit late, but that's fine. So yeah, if there's any sort of problems, something sort of happens. Again, this is the first time I've done this, so there might be a few. Be surprised if there's not a few little glitches, but it'd be a minor miracle if there isn't. But if you find something that's not quite working, just in the chat, just let me know, and I'll panic and try to sort something out. But today, for those that don't know you, I think most of the people who have signed up are already members. So what I'll do, even though, let's have a look how many people we've got. Yeah, so there's more coming in now. So I'll leave a poll for a little bit later until we've got a few more people coming in. So those that don't know me or who aren't members, I'm George Watts. I'm a British yoga teacher, and I'm a creator of something called the Yoga Genie Lesson Planner, the Yoga Teacher Lesson Plan Kit. And yeah, so that's really it. What I'm going to do today is go through how I created the Yoga for Sciatica lesson plan, and it's a subject close to my heart, or should I say close to my lower back and leg, because I've had sciatica for many years, since I was in my early 20s. So I've studied it a fair bit, especially when I became a yoga teacher. I looked into a lot of stuff. My dad's got sciatica, so I've helped him with yoga sciatica. So really, this was the lesson plan I'll be covering here is one that I use for myself, but also I kind of did it for a one-to-one for my dad because he has sciatica pain as well. So I'll be covering that lesson plan, but I'll also be covering how I plan. So if you see behind me, you can probably see I've got a big, huge dry erase board. So I'll be covering kind of how I do the prep before I get to the lesson planner. So how I kind of research and brainstorm and come up with my ideas for the lesson plan. So so we'll cover that. So my story is I'll keep it really quick. I used to be a professional golfer, played lots of golf. My brother used to be still a professional golfer. I used to be on the European tour, very good golfer. He's got a bad back. Virtually every golfer has a bad back. So I had a bad back really since my early 20s. And a couple of years ago, we were traveling around, got a motorhome, and we got a 40-litre canister full of water, and I stupidly tried to pick that up. And so I'm pretty sure that I had a bulging disc. So this is a scenario that is probably fairly common. People usually have a bulging disc before it then becomes ruptured. Herniated. So that's pretty sure that's what happened to me. I then lifted this huge 40-litre canister of water, and the old back went out. So it was pretty serious, and they had to rush me into surgery fairly quickly for the NHS. So within a few weeks, I was had surgery. So it's fairly rare. Only 1 out of 10 people who have sciatica really need surgery. So I literally couldn't walk. So it's pretty painful. So since the operation, I've had to do quite a lot of sciatic kind of yoga. And so this is what I'll be covering today. So the research, if I start with the research first. So I'm no expert on yoga therapy or sciatica or whatever that is. I'm just a British Willy Yoga qualified yoga teacher. And what I love to do is go out there and learn as much as I can. So say if I have a one-to-one client and they got sciatica or they got asthma or they got whatever it is they've got, I really enjoy that challenge, and I go off and I try to learn as much as I can from books, resources, looking at my yoga teacher training notes and whatever I can, and then create a lesson plan, handouts and other stuff for my one-to-one students. So if I just cover this here, and you can see in the background, so you can use lots of things, dry erase board or your notepad. These things are pretty good. I just gave a talk. As you can see, these are key ring little mini cards. Go on Amazon, pretty cheap, and you can write your little notes on there. And I quite enjoy using these. And I do a little doodle on the front and then some stuff on the back for a bit more notes. So I like doodling a lot. Sticky notes are always pretty good. I like doing the sticky notes. So I write stuff on sticky notes. So anything where you can do a bit of a brain dump. So this was I got a massive dry erase board here. It's taller than I am. And I just dump a load of stuff. So I tend to look at sort of blog posts or YouTube videos that are out there, and so to make sure, especially for the sciatica there, I look at a lot of lesson plans that or YouTube videos from like doctors or therapists, physiotherapists, and find out a lot of information that way. And then I like to just make it nice and colourful. So I think with the drag and drop lesson planner, that's obviously very much they're proven these days there's no such thing as left and right brain, but I'll keep it that way. Left is analytical, right is sort of more creative. So when I do the prep beforehand, I quite like getting creative and just put the subject in the middle. So I've got yoga for sciatica, but I put a 0 there and a percentage sign there, because 40% of people in the Western society end up getting sciatica at some point in their lives. So instead of yoga for sciatica, I put yoga 40% sciatica. Lots of fun little doodles around there. So I'll just cover that in a little bit. So the research that I've done here, I just put it in the middle, and I've just found out a bunch of stuff to avoid. So forward bends, I kind of know this because I've had sciatica, but if you're doing a lesson plan, a one-to-one, or a workshop for people with sciatica, the number one thing to avoid is forward bends. You can kind of get away with forward bends if you bend your knees and you keep your back really straight, but forward bends, avoid forward bends. Prolonged sitting, as yoga teachers, we're kind of used to the new kind of term going around these days is the new cancer is sitting, or the new smoking is sitting. So prolonged sitting is probably the number one cause of bad back and sciatic pain. Number 3 I've got up here is sit with no lumbar support. So, I take these lumbar supports with me. So this is a support for my lower back, lumbar region. Put it there. If I go driving, I have that. So if you've got students and they're not using lumbar supports when they're sitting, that's a huge, that's the real basics that are out. They can do as much yoga as they like, but if they're, especially most people's jobs are sitting down a lot, so if they're sitting without the lumbar support, really, really bad, because sitting in chairs is just terrible, especially the design of chairs, really, really bad for the back. So you've got to have the lumbar support. Number 4, I've got sit-ups. So I used to really like sit-ups. So especially when I was a professional golfer, I do sit-ups and pretty much every crunch that I was doing with a sit-up is it's just like a forward bend, but then it's terrible for the back. So even now, I still catch myself doing the odd sit-up because I used to really like them, and I've got to stop doing them. And I do prone. I'll get to that in a second, but exercises on my front, which is a lot safer for my back and a lot better for my back. Number 6, weightlifting. Again, I used to do that when I was a professional golfer. All terrible, terrible stuff for the back. But it's fine for the back if you're trained and you know what you're doing with the weightlifting, and you're not doing these a lot of the stupid ones you see where they're doing the forward in a kind of a forward bend with all that weight, which is horrific for you. So, but if you know what you're doing with the weightlifting and you're not doing stuff where you're bending over and putting huge amount of pressure on the lower back, the lumbar region, then that's fine. But for most people, avoid the weightlifting. So other stuff I've got here, causes, you just radiate stuff off. There you go. So muscle tension, pregnancy, arthritis in the spine. But what I'm going to cover today, because it's a lesson, there's so many different lots of different causes of sciatica. So I'm doing it today, which is really for students with bulgy or a herniated disc. So that's what I've got. So that's what I've created the lesson plan for. So there's lots of, you can have lots of reasons for it. But obviously, I probably don't have to say this because you're all yoga teachers, but you'd need to tell the student to go to the doctor, find out the protocol, find out what's going on. What's the so here? Well, I've got a little picture of a doctor over here with a syringe needle. So consult. They've got to obviously consult the doctor before they come to you. So you could obviously do them no matter how great a yoga teacher you are. If you don't really know what's impinging, what's happening on their nerve, what's causing it, you could do more harm than good. So always ask them to consult the doctor and say, find out exactly what's going on with them, then do your more research. And the doctor, let's ask if the doctor recommends yoga. So here I'll get on to, if I go on to the other side, I've just got sort of signs. So signs of, so I'm going to make all this in the package afterwards that you receive at the end of this. You're going to get a recording of this this webinar, and also I'll have lesson plans, a series of lesson plans for sciatica and a whole bunch of handouts, and I'll turn all this into like nice visual handouts for you. So don't worry if you feel like you're going to miss some of this. But I'm just going to, this is an important part of the lesson planning, is the creative dump mode. So I'm just going to cover what I've kind of done here. So signs that if you've got sciatica, so I've got a little signpost here going, no, this way, over here, just a bit of fun. So numbness, tingling, pain, weakness in the muscle. And a big one that the reason why the sciatica pain is so prevalent, you think 40% of people get sciatica at some point in their life, is because you've got a little drawing here, and you've got the L4, L5, S1, S2, S3 across here on the spine, and all these nerves coming out of the spinal column there, from all those, basically merge into one. So they come out of the spine, come down here through the hip, down behind the leg, and go behind the leg all the way down to the feet, and that just turns into these five spinal nerves all merge into one big huge sciatic nerve that goes down the back of your thigh, behind your buttock, all the way down. So it's a huge, really is much bigger than you think, and that's why it's very easy to impinge on that nerve. So that's why so many of us get it. Other stuff here. So I've now got over here, this is a spine coming down here, and I'll just show here, that's the disc, and that's impinging on the nerve. It's squeezed out. That's what happened to me with the herniated disc. It's squeezed out the spine and went into the nerves and got close to the nerves, and got pretty dangerous. So the disky stuff there is it's kind of like gel that sort of comes out from the spine. But one thing that's pretty cool with the self-healing, again, only 1 out of 10 people with sciatica really kind of need surgery like I had. So I had kind of severe, but the healing part of the body is pretty amazing. The body will then soak up the stuff that's come out, and even some of the stuff that's broken up from the spine. It will reabsorb it. They call reabsorption into the body, and that all starts the part of the healing process. So the body's really, really good. So what we want to do as yoga teachers is to not aggravate, make it any worse, and try to improve it. So like we talked about here, one of the worst things you can do for yoga poses is these forward bends. Again, you can get away with it if you bend your knees and you've got a nice straight back and you don't go all the way down. That's fine, but I tend to avoid. Depends how you've got. Obviously, if you're doing a one-to-one with someone, I'm now 2 years after operation. I'm now pretty normal, pretty fine. Actually, very, very fit with the back, and I can do pretty much anything. But if someone's just come out of the operation, obviously they could only do certain things. So when we're covering the lesson planning, which we'll do in a second with the drag and drop planner, you've got to know that's back to the doctor, know where they are. So I've got little pictures here of the avoiding the forward bend. So this spine here. So that's the herniated disc. So it normally starts off with a bulging disc, and then people can stay with that for years and years, and then it can, if something dramatic happens, like for me, I did a lift of something too heavy and lifted incorrectly without a straight back, you get all those kind of problems. So that's looking at how I do the right brain sort of brainstorming dump before I kind of do lesson plan. Most of the time I don't. If you're doing a basic lesson plan, it's not a themed one. This is essentially a themed lesson plan, yoga for sciatica. So you kind of go to town, you do a fair bit of work with the research to begin with, but once you've done it once, you can then, if you're doing a 6-week course or something, you can duplicate the lesson plan, which I'll show you in a bit, and that's time well spent. So anyone that you have with sciatic pain in the future, you can give them the lesson plan and any handouts that you've created. So next point is, those of you that came to my talk know that I'm big on props. So I'm just going to show you a few props that you can show to your students, or that you can recommend to them. So I think the visual, having a prop is, you can say 1,000 words, 1,000,000 words in a class, but if you can give them a visual that can, where they can just get it and they just understand it immediately. So if I cover some of the props, so if I come over here, I've got a couple of apples here. So I'm going to put the thing down here a little bit, see if you can see all the way down. Can you see that there? So I've got the apples here. There. Actually, you won't be able to see that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the apples here. Just imagine this is on a table, and you can get a segment of the orange, or you could use a donut for this. And what you're essentially doing is this is the spine here, there. So that's the disc, the fleshy disc with the gel inside. And what you're doing with a forward bend, when you put pressure on a forward bend, it basically squirts it. So if I'm going here, it will squirt. If I put pressure on these two now, I'm not going to do it now, it could cause a mess, but it will squirt, the orange will burst, and the stuff will come out from behind. And that is what is going on so here, that's what's happening when we're doing a forward bend and you're releasing all this stuff over here, and there's nerves over here, and this stuff will squirt out and it will come in to the nerve. So anything like that where you can do a bit of a fun demo with some weird props kind of helps, and they'll understand that forever and ever, amen. So you could talk complex, make it all complex and sound wonderfully intelligent to your students with all these wonderful words, but props at the end of the day really make a difference. And reverse there, when you're doing the back bends, it helps it stay in. So you've got the forward bend there, squishes it out, but the back bend, the reason why these back bends are so good for people with sciatica, it does the reverse. So if I just put that back a bit, you're helping that stuff that's come out, or if it's bulging, or if it's even if it's herniated, every time that you do helping with these gentle back bends. Again, if they got severe sciatica, you'd have to do very gentle little back bends to begin with. But when you're doing these prone back bends like locus and other stuff, which I'll cover in a second, you're helping them push that stuff that's bulging or come out back into the spinal column. So you've got the reverse, where you're doing the forward bend, where it's really dangerous. Each time you're doing it, you're having the chance of more of that stuff, gel, pushing out of the spinal column, out of the disc and coming close to the nerves or impinging on the nerves. It's causing all the pain to go down the leg. So back bends. So it's really, if you only get one thing out of this, most people already know this. I mean, I know this, and I've had sciatic pain for 20 years, but I still catch myself doing forward bends. And I think I have to realize, well, no, I can't really do too many of them. I can do a few, but I can't stay there for too long. Otherwise, I'll be causing myself more problems. So yeah, other props. All we need is so because back bends are so important, this will be one of the best props, a rolled up towel. So if they're doing lots of stuff where they can lie on their back, what you want to do for your students is to give them a nice arch in their back with a little mini back bend. So if you're doing passive yin yoga, so within the lesson planner, there's loads of bolster yoga poses and yin poses that you can do. And and either they're lying on this in savasana, that then helps their back. Bolster, so I've got a bolster down here. This is one of the best things that I ever did for me as someone with severe sciatica. So I lie on this and have a nice gentle back bends. It's brilliant. I think probably one of the best things, I'm sitting down now, but I never sit down when I'm working at the desk these days, and I haven't done for the last few months. I should have done this a long time ago. But you can buy one of these things. This is a portable standing desk. So you don't actually have to, so if you buy a desk, original desk for a standing desk, that can cost hundreds of quids, hundreds of pounds. But something like this, you can get on Amazon for about 20 or 30 quid, and it's just a portable standing desk. But this one's from, if I can give you the make there, that's it there. So that is Aventry. So this works really well. So I just unfurl my mat, have this on the desk, and then I use, so these are all tips that you can use for your students. I use something like this is called a time timer. So a timetimer.com, you can get these, and then every 15 minutes, the alarm will go off, and I'll just do 5 minutes of yoga on my mat and put it back to 50 minutes. When it goes off again, I do another 5 minutes. So it's making me sure that I'm not staying, even though I'm standing now when I'm doing my work, just making sure that I'm not staying rigid in one position for too long, which is obviously not very good for anyone's back, but especially for someone with bad back with sciatic pain. So yeah, I'll go into the lesson planning now. So here, what we'll do is just see how many people are on board here. Okay, cool. So I'll do, what I'll do is I'll share my screen now, and screen. So hopefully you can all see that pretty well. So what this is, so yeah, I'll just make sure that everyone can see that. So just with the chat, can you see the dashboard there? Okay, is that easy to see? So if you can just let me know from the chat if you can see that. Okay. So just say yes if you can, no if you can't. If there's something, you can't see my screen there, the lesson planner. Let's have a look. I think that, yeah, this should be working. So here is a lesson plan that I've created. So this you'll be able to get this after the webinar. So I'll have this in the Yoga for Sciatica pack. So at the end of this webinar, in the member section, you'll get a bunch of lesson plans, handouts, and if you're doing it for a workshop, I'll have some workshop forms and graphics and sales copy and stuff. So if you're doing a Yoga for Sciatica workshop, you can do it for that. But if you're doing a one-to-one, there'll be useful resource as well. So I'm not going to go over too much here what's covered within this within the lesson plan there. So for members, you'll know if you go to the Getting Started video, you can click onto that and you've got all the videos on showing you how to do everything. But what you can do is you can come in here, and what I've done for this lesson plan, I've started in crocodile. That's a nice gentle little back bend for people. So obviously the main thing that we're doing here, we're trying to improve people with sciatica. We're trying to improve their posture. So I'm doing lots of these standing poses and mounting, and I'm then getting them. I am doing one forward bend here, but it's a forward bend with basically the knees, legs bent, and it's a nice gentle on the back bend, because we want to get them into downward dog from there. So it's a transition move. So we had to put a forward bend in there, but we did a safe one for them. And some of the other ones we've got here is really a lot of these are obviously sort of back bends and prone. So a lot of these prone exercises here, cobra. So you want to start, if you've got someone with severe sciatica, I've got a lot of pain, they'll probably only be able to lie prone, maybe with a pillow under their stomach, and then you can step up from there. So they can be prone, and they can then go to a sphinx or cobra or upward dog, that kind of thing. So again, you've got to find out from them if they've consulted their doctor, and yeah. So do all that. So we've got the bolster stuff there, and that's that's really the plan. So you've got a few ways of doing it. For those who aren't members, who haven't really looked at how it works, you've got all these categories over here, so you can click into any of these, and if you find a pose that you think, okay, what would be a good pose here? Okay, fish 2 there for a bolster one, that would be quite a nice one. So you could put that in over there, and I'll just delete that. You can delete them by clicking the X, and you can duplicate poses by clicking the red button, the red icon on the top right of a pose. That will duplicate it. I'll just delete that. And what we can do, say you're happy with the lesson plan. The other thing that you can do over here is, say you don't really want to search through all the categories. You can go click the search icon, the yellow icon at the top right there, and say we want Cobra pose. You type in Cobra, and a whole bunch of options will come up, and we'll say, okay, we just want the basic Cobra pose. Then click Add to Current Plan, and that'll add it to the end of the plan. So there's Cobra, and that's added it in there. So you can put in the Sanskrit as well, so it'll search by Sanskrit using that search button. So I'm just going to delete that. The other thing we've got here, you can obviously copy this lesson plan. Say you're doing this as a 6-week course for a one-to-one student or something. You can just click Copy here, and that will then go. So here it is there. Maybe that is Sue Sciatica sequence. That might be lesson 2. So this will copy it as lesson 2. Click Copy Lesson. What that'll do is you'll see that it's now changed it over there. Sue Sciatica, that's number 2. The other one is saved. If you clicked into Search Lesson Plans, well, that's where it would be in there. And there it is. And then now, for this plan, you might want to change up a few things, delete a few poses, add a few 1 or 2 other new poses. I tend to, one of my formula, my lesson planning formula for me that I've evolved over the years is try not to reinvent the wheel too much each week. So I tend to only maybe change 1 or 2 things for each lesson plan. Sometimes I'll have the same lesson plan for a whole 6 weeks and not change anything. So I think that's much better than changing too much, because the students want to kind of learn a bit of a sequence without having things changed all the time. So really, just 1 lesson plan for a 6-week course is fine. But if you really feel like you must change something, just change 1 or 2 things. That's what I've found that worked. So you might have a different planning formula, but I'm just letting you what has worked for me. So just other little things up here that you can do. The add poses up here is if you want to add a bespoke pose that isn't within here, you can do that. You can request a pose over here, and you can go top right is the printer icon, and there's lots of different print settings. So for example, if I show you, this is the long version. So here's got the introduction. So I widen the screen a little bit here. There's the introduction to the lesson plan. So this is what I wrote there, and you can leave that blank if you wanted to. And this is the long version that obviously has everything. It's got the several columns, time column, image, the pose, description, and within the description they'll have the alternatives, the Sanskrit, the benefits, the video, and you can untick within the print settings. Say if you didn't want, and it's got the modification precautions, if you didn't want some of these columns, you just go into the print settings and you'd untick the boxes. So that's all discussed in the Getting Started video. So because we don't have a lot of time for this webinar, I won't go into depth there, but you'll know where it is there. And there's a short version here. So usually I take the short version into class with me. That's obviously just the pose and the image. The image and the name of the pose. So yeah, what I usually do is print out the long version, and I will learn. If it's a new plan, I'll go through that and study that. If it's a one-to-one student, I'll give them the long version. even in my yoga classes, I tend to give them this as well to do for their home practice. I'll also give them the short version of the lesson plan. And then within here, I've got a handout that I did for this. This is one of them, so I'll be creating a lot more here. So that is when you're clicking the handouts there, you can add the handouts. When you go into creating the lesson plan, there's a section to add handouts. But when you want to find the handouts, you just click the handouts link there, and any handouts that you've added to this lesson plan will be up there. So as soon as you click that, that will download that lesson plan for you. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Just trying to think. Yeah, so that I'll try to keep that fairly short. It's about 7:30 now. So really just covered how to do the research, very quick brainstorming, and how to sort of create a lesson plan fairly quickly. The reason why I originally created this lesson plan, because I was just taking way too long, I had an empty page, and I used to enjoy doing the writing it all out by hand, but it was just taking me way too long. So I took way too many classes and other stuff going on in my life, and just too long. So that's why I created this. It's now got over 1,000 poses and 19 categories. So we're always trying to improve it. So if you're a member and you've got any questions or anything to improve it, let me know. The other thing that you can do, you can also, if I just unshare this. Cancel. Okay, webcam back on. Okay, so hopefully, okay, just looking at this stuff there. So webcam is back on. So yeah, that's really it. Just a really sort of crash course on how I go about creating a Yoga for Sciatica lesson plan and how I research it. I'll provide you, the members will get within the members area. You'll come up here, click the getting started video, and within that you'll be able to get to the members area, the bonus area. So so I'll provide the package there. So I'll be doing that over the next week or two, adding to that. So it might take, I'll try to get it done in the next week, all the stuff that I've, new stuff that I've done as well. So I'll upload that to the members area in the next week or two, but I'll email you when it's done. So really, I think that's about it. So it's the first webinar. This will probably be a different different format. I'll learn quite a few things from this one. Maybe I kind of waffled a bit too much, and maybe should have done a few more polls and got a bit more interactive with everyone on the webinar. So I'll hopefully improve these as we go. So we've got a bit of time now for if there's any questions. So if I have a look at the chat over here. So if anyone's got any questions about what I just covered here, let me know now. I'll see if I can do one of these polls. So I've got a poll here. Let's see if this works. So we could do a quick poll, and we'll see here. So here, I'll just load this poll. Start the poll. So I've just let's just see if that works. So I've got a poll there. So you should see a poll on your right hand side. Should have popped up, or if you go to the poll section, click on the polls link button. If you can answer that quick poll, and so I can just see if that's working. Everyone's alive. So while people are doing that poll, let's have a look. There, so people are just kind of doing there. So again, if there's any questions at all, let me know now, or I'll sort of end the end the webinar in the next few minutes. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, so just to recap, if you try to get use as much color as you can. So get lots of pens with different colors. I think that really does help. And doodle. Even, I mean, I'm not much of a drawer. You can probably see there my mind map there. It's, they're just little stick figure, cute little drawings. But I think that really helps. It helps the memory as well going forward when you've done this brain dump with the mind map, but not just a bit of a boring mind map where it's just text. If you can add little doodles, add the color, I think that really helps the memory going forward, and also helps you create some handouts. So students really love handouts, what I found. So when I do my research, that's when I find I can create some nice handouts within MS Word, turn them into PDF documents, print them out, and give them to my students. So yeah, have fun with the creative part of it, and just find lots of sources. I mean, YouTube's brilliant these days. Obviously, you've got to be a bit careful. Make sure they are. You'll know fairly quickly if you see their feedback and everything, and what they're doing. But just to enjoy I think a lot of yoga teachers, if they don't do a little mind map and they turn it into a little drawing, it can become quite hard work and can become quite stale. And if you're doing that year in, year out, I think you do have a lot of yoga teachers dropping out and quitting teaching. And I think a bigger part than we realize is because we have to do so much work with the prep, figuring out what kind of lesson plans and ideas to do. We make that boring and hard work. It kind of, you can see why yoga teachers do drop out. But if you can make it fun and use your color and just allow yourself to draw stuff, learn. So, I mean, what I do, if I don't know how to draw something, I'll put on to Google. Like one of the things here is like a doctor. I want to learn how to draw a little doctor. So I put doctor stick figure in Google, and it comes up with a whole bunch of them, and I can just learn then how to draw that. So as I'm doing my thing there, I don't know how to draw a lot of this stuff, but I'll just Google it. I'll just say, like here, the sit-ups. I did sit-up stick figure man. Came up with there, and I could learn how to draw it. So I don't create all the stick figures in my lesson planner. My graphic designer creates those. So I'm not a fantastic drawer by any stretch of the imagination, but you can learn really easily these days. Just Google stick figure, whatever it is you want to draw within your mind map, and it turns it into a nice, fun, dynamic, interesting document. So that's it. So I've got some questions there. Some people saying thank you. Okay, yeah, lovely. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks a lot. When's it on the dashboard tab? So it will be this package, the Yoga for Sciatica package, will hopefully be in the next week. I'm going to a wedding in a week or two up in Manchester. Actually, sadly, one of the groom's cousins were at the recent tragedy in Manchester, and one of the cousins died during the blast. So we're going up to that in a week or two, but I'll try to get that done before I go up there. So yeah, within a week I will get that done. Let me see if there's any other questions. Yep, that's pretty much it. So if you find out if there's any questions later, you can obviously go to my website, email me, or anything. And that's it. So thanks everyone for showing up to the first webinar. So hopefully it wasn't you could listen to me, understand there wasn't too many technical glitches, and hope you have a lovely rest of the week. Speak to you later.